Hey everybody, what is up? You are listening to the Playing On Podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. Hi. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Well, it's kind of just the start of the weekend, but Friday is part of the weekend, man. So anyway, I hope it's going great. I'm glad to be bringing you guys another episode. This one is with Brad McCurley. I cannot wait to get into it. It was great to sit down and talk to him. This is another one of those interviews where I wasn't too familiar with him personally, so I kind of got to know him a little bit during the interview. It was really cool. I had a really good time. But before we get into it, I would like to thank our sponsors, Dr. Paintball. And if you head over to drpaintball.com, they are actually having a giveaway, and the grand prize is a camouflage dye M2, and you can find all the details. It's right when you type in drpaintball.com, goes to the website, little window pops up. They're having a giveaway, and if you click on the website, click on the window, it'll direct you to where you can go to register to win that thing. But after you do that, you can also go to the About Me. You can check out their blog. They also have all kinds of used gear on the website that you can browse through, as well as new gear that is coming out and that is already out as well. And you can finance it all. So they are here to help you guys find everything that you need over at drpaintball.com. So thank you for sponsoring this podcast. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball. They are coming out with a CC line. So we have a SC line out right now, the high-end stuff. You saw the pack, the pants, everything that's out. We are having a CC line. It's just kind of a sister line to this one. It's not as fancy. It's just as durable. Still looks good. Multiple colors available in the pack. There's going to be pants coming out. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. So make sure you check it out over at carbonpaintball.com. And if you type in capital TPOP at checkout, I'm spitting all over the place whenever I say that. Capital TPOP at checkout, you will get 10% off your entire order. Sweet beans. So head over to carbonpaintball.com to check out all the goodies. We are also brought to you by Charm City Paintball. He makes some sick headbands. I love the fabric. I love all the materials that he's using. He uses all kinds of military fabrics, some high-end like Gucci. I'm sure he's going to find some Louis Vuitton, all the fancy dancy stuff that's out there. He finds all the headbands are in 10 runs or less, so they're all pretty much custom. He makes some pro headbands. This one doesn't have the pro patch, but this is one of them. This is the little Charm City tag that he has, but he'll help you out. If you want something custom, just give him a call, or actually write him up. He's over on Facebook, Charm City Paintball, and a buddy of mine just got it's a black head wrap with black Gucci straps, and it's a tie back. It's pretty neat. So make sure you give him a look over at Charm City Paintball on Facebook. And we are lastly brought to you by Planet Eclipse, the makers of the best damn paintball marker on the planet, which is the LVR, because I shoot the LVR, and it's awesome. It is so awesome. They also have a CS 1.5, one of the newer Geos that is out. And, looking back, dude, every one of the markers has just been such an improvement from the previous year. It's crazy. Just the dips that they do, the colors, the design itself, and the innovation is crazy. So I'm sure you guys know them, but planeteclipse.com. Make sure you head over there and you can find all of Planet's goodies, pants, gloves, pads, all kinds of stuff at planeteclipse.com. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And without further ado, let's get into it. I really appreciate Brad sitting down with me and having this little chit chat. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. We'll see ya. Brad, what is up, man?
Same stuff, different day, man. You know how it goes.
I hear you, dude. It's been quite a journey for you this year, huh?
Yeah, totally new squad, new environment, new living environment.
Yeah,
big changes all over across the board.
Well, weren't you living in Chicago? Was it?
Well, Chicago originally, and then I went from there with Damien down to Arkansas to work for Key. Spent about 4 years there, and now relocated for GI down to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like fresh down in Fort Lauderdale? Just new?
As of February, so fairly fresh still, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like literally right in the middle of all of that. In the middle of the team move, was full life move really down to Fort Lauderdale, but we're loving it here. Weather's beautiful. There's no winter.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. If you're like me, I like my seasons, though. I like my leaves changing. And
yeah, Rosie and I were literally just talking about that. She's like, you think the leaves are going to change at all here? I was like, definitely not.
them palm leaves don't change.
Unfortunately. We miss it.
Yeah, well, it's cool, though. It's that's one thing I don't like about Florida. I love the sunshine and everything, but I hate when you step outside and you walk and you start sweating instantly.
Instantly sweating? Yeah. Definitely taking getting used to. I really didn't think I would adjust to it, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you'll get used to it." And I was like, "I don't know. I sweat really easily," and I'm finally starting to be like, "All right, maybe I think I am starting to get used to it a little bit at least." But it's still miserable. I mean, it's later in the day. It's 95 and 100% humidity.
Yeah. But yeah, dude. Let's kind of start back where you first started paintball and you first discovered it, and how that all came about. And but first off, you are from Chicago originally?
Yep. Northwest suburbs. Yep. And
when you were playing like high school or when you were younger, were you into the athletics and the sports and all that? And tell us kind of a little bit about the younger Brad.
Yeah, I played a little bit of everything growing up. My primary sport was soccer. I turned down some scholarship opportunities to continue pursuing paintball.
Really? In soccer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a couple of different smaller D2 schools. Both of my siblings actually are now playing D1 soccer.
Really?
Yeah, my brother most recently just shipped off to Wake Forest. They're actually seeded number 2 going into the season.
Oh, geez.
And he was a top 10 recruit out of the Midwest, so props to him. He's actually looking like he's going to get a starting nod as a freshman, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And my sister's playing at the University of Ohio, so both playing D1 soccer. I had that, not the same opportunity, but could have pursued that same path anyway. Mm-hmm. It just became kind of like a job to me, too much. I wasn't having as much fun as I was playing paintball. So I was on an Aftershock at the time that I was going away to college, and it was time to make the decision, so I chose paintball.
Yeah. So what was your first team? Like, how did you discover paintball? Like, you were playing soccer at the time, and how did it come about?
Yeah, I was playing soccer at the time. I think it was similar to most people's stories. Somebody's birthday party. We went and
another birthday party. I really have to start making notches on how many birthday parties there are.
I'm sure birthday parties has got to be number one.
Yeah.
So it was a birthday party. I was a late bloomer. I think it was 15 or so that I first picked up a paintball gun and was at just like a birthday party kind of situation, and did that once or twice and had a lot of fun with it. And one of my buddies in the neighborhood that I grew up with and went to school with and played soccer with, his older brother was into paintball, so we were like, all right, let's check it out. We all got our own guns. Went out to Fox Paintball was, I think, the first field that I played at in Illinois. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of shot the shit and had a really good time with it. And we're like, man, we're actually kind of good at this. And we played like some 3-man tournament and won. And then dude named Happy, who was coaching Distortion for a little while, he hit me up and was like, hey man, like, we play these tournaments, you're pretty decent at it, like, you want to come out? And I was like, sure. Like, I didn't really know much about it.
So you got in the tournament scene like fairly quickly when you first started playing?
Yeah, I was only my first national tournament was LA07, and that was
really?
in Division 3. There's a team called Aerospark.
Dude, all you kids are making me feel so old. God, 07, man.
You were on Excessive at the time?
07, I was Avalanche.
Avalanche. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first tournament. I played, I think it was 3 events that year in Division Three, and that team was playing out of the Badlands. So that's when I first like got introduced to the Badlands out there and got to see Aftershock and the whole grind and everything.
And that's like a little bit later Aftershock, like kind of a newer generation
It was
Aftershock.
like a transition stage. It was like right when like Yaya and Cody were just getting on the team. So that was 2007, and I played the beginning of 2008 with Shock Kids in D2. So for playing three Division Three tournaments and playing out of the Badlands and stuff, they saw me and picked me up for the Division Two Shock Kids team. And
that's when you started traveling to play paintball and everything was with the Shock Kids?
Well, with Aerospark, we played LA, we played Chicago, and we played Cup. So we played 3 events. So I had 3 like actual national event experiences going into my second year with Shock Kids in D2. Played the first 2 events of the year, and then got asked to come play for Aftershock.
Nice.
But that was also kind of a weird situation, though, because it was the same year that Joy Division gave their MPPL spot to Shock. But Ren didn't want so much to do with the guys playing 7-man. He was kind of just, you guys do your own thing with that. He didn't really care. He supported the PSP, so he had more to do with that. So Psalm wasn't the coach of the team for 7-man. It was kind of just all the guys doing their thing.
Yeah.
So the guys actually saw me and asked me to play for the team before Ren and Psalm did. So I went and played Buffalo 2008 in 7-man. That was my first pro tournament. So I played with them in 7-man before I was asked to then go to that. There was like a private tryout for the X-Ball team. And that was before the Northeast Open. So I think it was like probably like 25 people at that tryout. And that's when myself and Lawhead made the team.
I remember that kid. I know that little guy.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer 7-man or X-Ball? I guess you don't have a choice now, but...
Yeah. I always like 7-man because I always enjoyed being more creative. I like the bigger fields and being able to make those dynamic moves. I'm sure you did as well.
I loved it. I loved it so much. Well, I think that's where it came. That's where it came from. Those moves. It was kind of like a newer, because I was never able to play 10-man, so that was like my 10-man, and it had same format. Yeah, I love it. I miss it.
Me too. I wish there was a way we could. I mean, they kind of did at the end where they had the like best of 3 or whatever, so it was somewhat similar to X-Ball in a sense, but it was still like the split deck and everything, but still.
See, I never got to play that one because
you weren't in that time, huh?
No, because the end of 2009 is when I stepped away.
That's right.
I think that was when the 7-man was slowing down, and then they started doing that best of 3 thing, and it sucked, man. I wanted to see and play 7-man more, and it sucked it had to go away.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think there'll be another 2 leagues again?
I don't. I think some people will push for it just because of the money in it that they could potentially make, but I don't think it's good for the sport. I think we need to focus on honing in on one focal point. It's already difficult enough as it is for outside people to grasp what we're doing out there. So I think the more leagues that we have, the more formats we have, the more confusing it is, and the harder it is for us to move forward as far as outside sponsors or the future of getting us on TV, if that is still in everybody else's goals. But
yeah. So almost as like a selling point, you think keeping a simple format. Well, do you think it's the X-Ball format, or do you think it is some kind of like 7-man time points format kind of a thing?
You know, we started just spitballing this idea around the office with what we think the direction that paintball needs to go, and I don't know if it's necessarily what we do. Like, obviously, we're really good at what we do, but as far as being able to watch it and everything, for people that don't know paintball, they just see figures standing behind bunkers. They don't see that we're controlling zones and holding people out from getting into the snake. They don't understand these kind of things.
Like the logistics that we're
right.
behind, yeah.
For somebody that hasn't seen it before, they walk up and they just see people standing. Like, what's so exciting about this? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They don't grasp the full concept. So I feel like we need to do something that is more entertaining for the viewer, and maybe that's not speedball at all. Maybe it's some kind of cross between paintball and a survival game, like maybe some kind of Hunger Games situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's more enticing. It's like a game of survival, where it's a lot easier of a concept to grasp because it's you need to survive versus, oh well, there's 5 guys over here, they got to shoot them, then they got to hit this button, and then that gives them a point. It's a lot to do for somebody that's not into it. So
See,
I don't know.
That's the tough part because we're trying to make the sport as structured as possible, so it can be easily. It's almost more complicated as it is, but we're trying to simplify it to make it into that digestible sport feel, you know. But there's so many small little variables that go into it, like football, hockey, anything. Just think of hockey. You put the puck in the net. Right? There's plays around it. It's fucking simple. Football. Get this I mean, I still don't understand like the points and everything in football. Like 6. Like I understand it, but like who was like, I think we should make it 6 for a touchdown. It's like, okay, whatever. But it's simple and it's easy to follow. And I think we're trying to do that, but there's so many little things that need to happen in a game or that do happen inside of that paintball match that you just don't understand right away. And I was kind of thinking about this too, of having like a booth at an NXL event or something like that, and having it say Tournament Paintball 101 or Paintball Tournament Paintball Explained or something like that, and have a booth dedicated to the parents, the wives, the brothers, sisters, whatever, or walk-ons or walk-ins.
What is this kind of booth?
And exactly, and then shoot, take a week and take somebody like Maddie to narrate it, or and a couple different teams, even a guy from each team, just doing kind of like the Dynasty Dissected, but not necessarily teaching the game, but showing what is happening and why somebody is doing something. But make it really short and easy to understand. And I don't know if that would be a good idea.
Do like a silly like whiteboard thing where it's like, oh, similar to football, where it's like, all right, you're quarterback and you're wide receiver and you're running back, and it's like, all right, these are your front players. They want to get here, shoot this way, and eliminate these guys. These guys are here, controlling zones, helping these guys get there. Yeah, something simple.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Just make it a video and then be like, this guy, if you see a guy doing this on the field, it's because he's doing this, and it's because of this, and because of this, and that way. Because we're trying to split that hair of having somebody who has never played the sport understand it, but then have us who has played it forever, trying to explain it as dumbed down as possible to that person. So we have to find that fine gray area to where
while still being fun and competitive for us to play.
Exactly. So. I don't know. There's so many different things that we can try and think about that we're going to obviously do and then fail at and then have good things come out of it. But we just don't know until we try it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So that was tangent number 1.
Of many, I'm sure.
We were just you were joined Aftershock for Buffalo of 2007, 7-man.
Yep.
How'd you guys do?
Not so hot. I don't think we made Sunday, but I think we were right on the cusp. But that was a big wake-up call for me because, I mean, I was nervous as shit, obviously, my first pro tournament, and I hadn't really had much experience. I mean, 3 events in D3, 2 in D2, and then here I was. It was just like,
right.
It was like all of a sudden the guys that I'm watching on videos I'm standing next to and shooting at and getting shot by, I was like, oh, this is fucking cool.
It's such a weird feeling, dude. I remember it. I remember like it was yesterday. I forget. Well, of course, and then I say I forget, but I forget what tournament it was. But I remember walking to the field, knowing that I'm going to be playing these guys, and then like scouting them and watching them, and just this. It's such a. I wish I had that feeling every time. Like, but obviously now we know those guys and we're friends with everybody. Right. And now you are one of those guys to the new guys that are coming out playing. But you have to hold on to shit like that. I feel like that keeps you grounded as a player.
Yeah, you definitely got to remember your roots and where you came from, and always give back the same way that those guys gave to you, You know what I mean? The same way that those guys gave me the opportunity, because like I said, it wasn't Ren, it wasn't Psalm immediately. I mean, it was after the guys were like, "Yo, check this dude out."
After they were convinced.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's on us now to give the younger group the same opportunities that we had.
Yeah. Yeah. So was it just Happy who wanted to pick you up, or who else was on the team besides Lawhead at the time?
Well, Happy was the dude from Aerospark, and he coached Distortion.
Right, yeah.
I think it was this past year, he coached Distortion. So that was the D3 team, and then it had to have been Psalm to put me on the D2 team because he was running the whole program.
Did you know anybody else, like, personally on the team, or is this your first introduction into the guys that you know?
I mean, I just knew kind of the Chicago paintball scene a little bit just from playing with Aerospark for that year and just kind of being around the Badlands and seeing the different teams. Because it was like Shot Kids and Chi-Town Raiders were still around. So like Stapula from TMG now. Yeah. Like I played him on Shot Kids in D2. But yeah, it was just that whole Chicago paintball scene that I was just kind of around, and then got thrown right into the mix. But it was cool that it was the guys from the team that became my peers that were like, "Yo, let's do this."
Yeah. Now, growing up in Chicago and playing in Chicago, was Aftershock your team that you looked up to and the guys that you looked up to?
Yeah, I think my mom probably still has it, but I did a project like in middle school or something like that about Chicago Aftershock. It was really funny.
Yeah. Who's your favorite player?
Probably Darcy. Just because he always
yeah. I remember Darcy. Yeah, you don't really hear his name very much.
No, not much anymore. He's just up in Canada hunting stuff.
Dude, there's a lot of Aftershock guys that are doing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you get on. Let's go back to where we were. You get on Aftershock, play 7-man. You guys almost make the cut to Sunday. And that was that like a mid-season?
Yeah, that was probably the second half, the beginning of the second half of the season, because the next event was the Northeast Open at Phillies Field. Yeah. And that was the first event that Lawhead and I got on the team for the X-Ball team.
And that was Yaya and all those guys?
Mm-hmm. Floyd, LP, Sloviak, Cody, Yaya. What else am I missing?
Matthews? Was Nick Matthews on the team?
Nick was not on the team. Not at the time that I got on the team, anyway. I feel like he left either the year before or earlier that season.
So was it just Psalm? Bruno wasn't around, anything like that?
No Bruno yet. Bruno didn't come around till 2011. So this was still 2008.
Oh, okay. How'd you guys do that event?
Again, just missed the cut, but we came out and gave Infamous a game. That was like the first Pro X-Ball match I'd ever had. So that was, again, another wake-up call. Like, shit, all right, I can play with these guys. That was also my first experience shooting the all Gator Black Ultra Evil.
I remember that shit.
Oh my god, this is so cool. I can't see what I'm shooting at, but neither can they.
Yeah, you know what, speaking of, now that we're on that subject, what do you think it is for paint companies? And I think this kind of goes along with spectator-friendly kind of thing. I mean, do you think we should transfer over to like bright shell and some kind of bright? I mean, the yellow is pretty bright, but as far as the outer shell, I think it should. I think it should be bright anyway.
Yeah, they've actually tried to implement that rule in the NXL already, and they've had trouble getting all the vendors to get behind it. We've had bright shell for quite some time now, with the Ultra Evil being the bright red, and then our Evil, or I'm sorry, the 5-star being either the lighter purple or the green. So I think they want everybody to go to like a light lime green shell, which would definitely be the easiest to see for the spectators. But it does most definitely, you know for sure that it affects the game at the pro level for sure.
Right.
By us being able to see lanes, like it's way different with that dark color shell for sure, which is why the vendors have tried to get away with doing that for a while now.
I mean, do you think that it would be? Do you think it'd be a positive jump, or do you think it would change the game enough to where it wouldn't be the same?
If we're going to do that, I think we need to do a full switch. So we would need to, and it would be expensive because it would end up being like more of a traveling road show. We would have to have like a dark colored turf, use darker colored bunkers, which would be hotter than hell, but it would allow people to see all the lanes, and that would allow people to understand what it is that we're doing by just walking up and looking at it. You'd see it'd be like remember the old, the All-Star or the Marvelizer that was just that neon like yellow, like highlight color basically, that you would just streams go through the air, especially when you're playing 7-man. You're shooting 15 balls a second.
Yeah.
If we did something like that with like a neon colored shell and darker bunkers and darker turf, something like that, that would allow you to see all the lanes and everything better for the spectator at least. It could also be cool to have viewing from above. I think that would help.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. See, I don't know if you would need darker bunkers or darker turf, because I think that shell. I remember a video came out. I think at the beginning of this year, or maybe it was last year, and it was a small short video of like the yellow paint being shot, and oh, dude, it was awesome. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Like I played against dark shell, and I feel like I've honestly gotten more pissed at playing against somebody with darker shell than I would with a brighter shell, because it's those ones where you kind of just head check and you're like, well, okay, well, I didn't even see the lane, and but now you can actually kind of judge a little bit more with that yellow. That's an awesome brass knuckles cup you have there.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Awesome coffee mug. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I stole this one from my wife. It's roses. Keeps me grounded while I do the podcast.
There you go.
But yeah, that's. I was always wondering that. I wonder if we're gonna come to like a, because right now we have a uniform fill, right? Everybody's shooting the same fill, and my next question was, where is the shell going to go? If it's gonna go, I think we should
do a neon shell and bring back the orange fill.
I agree. Orange fill's great.
You can't cheat with that.
Yeah, no. Well, and there's nobody out there with orange anything that I can think of. Right. Or it could be you guys. You guys have different jerseys every event, so you never know.
Yeah, I guess we did wear orange last time, but there's people that have. I mean, we could easily make orange protected color as opposed to yellow, but I guess you'd then have the issue of that orange is such a nasty fill in such an awesome way for us, but such a bad way for the venue that we're renting it out from.
Yeah, there is that. I wonder if they did that. Yeah, for it's like the yellow is easier to be washed away through the grass.
Yeah, the yellow fades into the green easy, so that's why we do yellow. It allows us to go back to the venues that aren't paintball fields, like especially that one in Vegas. Like that's a really expensive venue to be at. If we used anything other than yellow, there's no way we'd be allowed there. Yeah.
So speaking of you working in the company, like how did that come about?
I kind of just took a chance. I was kind of just in limbo. I'd finished like 2.5 years of college at Illinois State, and I was playing for Aftershock at the time. My teachers were flunking me because I'd be missing classes for tournaments and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's not school sanctioned. I'm like, well, I don't have time. I could play for the school, but I'm doing is above like what the school team is. Like the school team's begging me to play, but I just can't do it because I don't have time.
Oh, so they did have a team?
Yeah, Illinois State probably still does have a team. But yeah, they asked me to play. I just couldn't do it. It was already tough enough with my school load and then playing for Aftershock and then having to drive back to practice and everything. So it was already a pain in the ass as it was, but I tried to explain to them, like, this would be like Derrick Rose coming down when he played for the Bulls at the time. Him coming down trying to take classes, and you'd be like, hey, sorry, man, can't go to New York tonight to play your game. We got a test. Like,
yeah,
come on. And I'd be like, I'd take it before. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And not school sanctioned. So I flushed a ton of money down the toilet like that and was like, I can't do this anymore, but I don't want to stop playing paintball. So I'll pursue paintball further, like kind of go all in with it. Damien him and I were playing for Infamous now at this time. And he got a job offer to go down and work out of the Bentonville, Arkansas office to work for Key, and was like, I'm going to do it with or without you, but it'd be sweet for somebody to go with. You're not really doing anything right now. You're just kind of hanging out at school partying.
Right.
You're right. Like, I'll go with you. So I went with him. Didn't have a job at first, and just kind of went in and was like, I want to pursue this. let me see what I can do. Like, let me show you what I can do. And they gave me like an hourly bullshit position. I'm just cold calling Walmarts and shit.
Right.
But then created the whole sponsorship program thing and created a position for myself because I found something that the company lacked, and there was a way to tap into some sales there that weren't already being previously tapped into. But it was also a way that we could help the player as well, make it more affordable for them, so they can do it more consistently. So it was kind of a win-win for everybody. So I developed the All-In program, and that's taken off big time for Empire. GI saw how successful that was. They developed the Imperial program, which is basically mirrored the same thing. And now that's kind of what the current model of sponsorships is based off of for virtually all companies now.
Right.
So that I did really well with. And now I've transitioned to that, from that to do managing that worldwide for both Empire and GI, to doing traditional sales as well to our domestic customers. So
nice.
I have a busy work week.
Yeah, sounds like it. No, that's cool. And I thought you had something to do with that All-In program. It seems like you have everything to do with that All-In program. But it's cool because all paintball players, as you know, are looking for some kind of handout, some kind of gimme. And now with this program, I don't know too much about it, but I know that it helps out a lot of teams, and it's really good for the sport for sure. Yeah,
it's a good way for us to offer them, a deal on stuff to get them in the door, to help them with, and then be able to help them with their residual costs in the paint at the national events. That again is their biggest residual cost day in and day out.
Yeah.
To be able to give them the support that they need for them to be able to play more, but also for us to be able to get our product into people's hands. Like I said, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, you said that you were playing for Aftershock, and then you played for Infamous. So let's kind of go back to that. What was what went down? What was the whole? Because I remember, I hear the story from Sos and from all those guys, and this was kind of a mid-season jump too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I guess going back after 2008. Aftershock no longer played 7-man, so it was just the X-Ball team. So I went and jumped on with Damien. That was the first time him and I got connected with Chicago Legend. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember those guys. Dennis Olson, awesome dude. Still love the guy. He's still doing well. He's just not involved in paintball anymore.
Yeah.
But good group of just homegrown Midwest dudes that had no egos or anything, just went out there and had fun. It was always the same group of guys. There weren't really like any outside guys that came in. We were all from around the Chicagoland and Iowa area. So I jumped on with them for 7-man. So I played with Damien in 7-man, and then for Aftershock and X-Ball. And that's how it was for 2009 and 2010.
Kind of mediocre seasons, those two?
Yeah, definitely nothing stellar for sure. Until 2011, when we were doing the same thing, playing on those two teams, and Damien came back to Aftershock because he had taken some time off to play college soccer. So this is when I guess he had left Legend for a little bit and left playing X-Ball altogether for a little while to pursue that. And he came back for the Northeast Open in 2011, which was up at Top Gun, and he came back to Aftershock. And that was the same event that Bruno first came back to coach as well. Mm-hmm. And we crushed it. We came out, we beat the Russians, we beat Infamous, and we beat Damage and lost to Impact. So we went 3-1 and didn't go on. And this was the first time that three-way tie rule had ever screwed
somebody.
Yeah. So I don't know.
First of many.
They're changing, or they have changed that for this next event.
Really?
Yeah, I got word from Trozen about that because we obviously got fucked by that this last one.
Yeah, I heard about that. So what are the details on that?
So it sounds like, from what I've heard anyway, it'll go, if it's a three-way tie, they'll take so they have to go to head-to-head I guess there's in some crazy situation, there could be three teams tied, but somebody beat somebody head to head. Well, that it wasn't everybody beat everybody, right?
Sure.
Because three-way tie, everybody should have beaten everybody, right? Like in the last case, for example, we beat Impact, Impact beat Dynasty, Dynasty beat us, right? So everybody beats everybody. They go to point margin. So Impact had the best point margin. They pull them out. And for whatever odd reason, I always thought it was really dumb, but they revert back to head when everybody beat everybody. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So that's how we got knocked out of the tournament. That's how we got knocked out back in 2011 as Aftershock as well. And that was the first time that rule had been discovered. Like, I guess the flaw in that rule had been exposed.
Yeah.
So now, when it's a three-way tie, they'll look at the head-to-head. That'd be a super rare case that decided anything. So it'll go to the three-way tie to the point margin, and it'll only be the point margin in those three games. So in which everybody played each other, and they'll just pull the top two out.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Which is what it should be. Yeah. Looking for the best two teams out of the three. Everybody beat everybody. Take the point margins from those games, and you have the top two teams.
Mm-hmm. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. They finally decided to do it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So hats off to them for finally realizing that it was flawed, and they're left a lot of room to exploit it. Like, we could have thrown the game against Dynasty and gone on and knocked Impact out, but how shitty would that have looked for the league, you know, and paintball in general?
Yeah. Well, and you guys as a team. I mean, there's a lot of respect that goes into a team that just steps up and plays.
Especially a team, like, it's a pretty good group of dudes that are all pretty straight shooters, not not known for being badasses of the league or anything like that. They're just a good group of kids. So it would hurt their integrity for sure. So that was it never even crossed our minds really to throw that game, especially after beating Impact the day before.
Yeah.
Go out there and win.
Yeah, there'd be no reason. I'd rather go out there and play my ass off and try and go 4-0 than anything else.
We end up losing by a point. It's like,
believe me, I know that feeling. Last event, we lost by 1 point and we lost 2 overtimes. And see, and then there's that too. It's like our scores was we went 1-3 when we could have easily went 3-1 if we would have just won those, So, and then everybody's shitting on us, just going, well, Shock's nothing. They went 1-3, this and that.
I got to tell my boy Nicholas that I'll have to call him back.
Hey, I just did a podcast with him. But yeah, they it just like that, we could have been 3-1 and possibly playing on Sunday. Hopefully more than likely playing on Sunday, depending on situation.
For sure would have been playing on Sunday.
Yeah, it sucks because, I mean, we have a lot of potential too, and I feel like it's just that little bit, man, and I feel like we can be competitive. And I think about it too, like how was Bruno coaching when he first came back? Was he, I don't want to say crazy or anything like that, like, was his coaching style pretty straightforward when he came back, or has he just always kind of been who he was?
No, he's always been Bruno. He was always just super fiery. Not, again, like you said, not crazy, but just very passionate in what he's doing. Yeah. And definitely cared a lot, especially that being his first event back. Like, you could tell how much he genuinely cared and wanted to win, and how happy he was to see us go 3-1 in the prelims. Like, for Aftershock, that's, you know as well as I do, that doesn't happen that often for Shock to go 3-1 in the prelims and beat the teams that we beat, like Russians, Infamous, Impact. Solid damage, solid teams. So we were amped, and obviously it didn't go the way we wanted, and in typical Bruno fashion, it blew up in flames.
Yeah. So what was the missing ingredient through those years, through that 2009, 10, 11? What was the missing ingredient on that team?
Honestly, it was probably just, it took time for us all to come together. Like, we had this, I guess, the same core group of guys, but guys kept getting shifted around. Like, we had the Philly guys come in for the 1 year, like Tim and Sam, and Pat came over for a little bit. Son DeBillis was over for an event. So we had the core group of guys, but our core group of guys were super young. Like, the guys that were there were me. Like I just got on the team. You know what I mean? I was
Mhm.
still coming into what I was as a player in the pro division. So it's hard to ride players like that and at the top level. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it took us time, and then it all kind of started coming together in 2011. So we went 3-1 there with Chicago Legend. Then we won in DC. Um, and well, I guess it all. I'm sorry, it all came together at the end of 2010 because the end of 2010 was when we got blown out by the Russians at World Cup, but we made the finals.
That's right. That's right. How did
So
how did
that
you guys get to that point? Well, I mean, was it convincing getting to that point, or was it pretty close games
it
all
was
the
it
way?
was it was close games the whole way that were hard fought, but it was done with that same group of guys. Like I was out there almost every point, like myself, Nick, Cody. I think Tim was still out there. Sam, that was like pretty much our go-to guys. Lawhead, like we were just rolling the same dudes. And honestly, we were such a young team. We kind of found something that worked for us and just kept rolling with it, and it just took us all the way to the finals. And then we came up against the Russians, and they're the best scouting team in paintball, so they
Right.
just saw what we were doing. And I've never got decimated as bad as that on the break. Like they shot 2 to 3 of us on the break almost every single point. It was embarrassing.
Did you guys play
Zero.
them in the prelims at all?
No, no. It was
That's insane.
ridiculous.
And you guys were probably on a high, at least
Yeah,
getting to finals is one
yeah.
thing. And
Had been there in 10 plus years, like
yeah.
huge deal. And then we just got steamrolled. It's like, what just happened? Like in the blink of an eye, it's 0-7, it's over. It's like, what
They were
just happened?
they were just doing everything right.
Yeah,
From when I heard and just the footage that I saw, it was just kind of they're just doing everything right. It was at the event that Sos threw his gun and everything.
yep.
That's what I
Yeah,
figured.
so this is one of the main core guys. Sorry, I left him out. But yeah, that it was super frustrating. It was one of those games that you just take a step off the box. He's like,
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude.
and not just one time. It was just like over and over and over. And then you get past that first lane, and you're like, sweet, I'm gonna make it up. Second lane, it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, man, these guys are on point.
Dude, I've never really had for all the teams that I played for, I've never really had a solid game or even a solid win against the Russians. For some reason they've always had something over me. I don't know what the hell it is, and that's why the West Coast Open, I think it was 2014, 13 or 14, whatever it was. And it was when we were playing the Tauntauns as Aftershock, and it was the whole Challenger bracket thing.
Yeah,
And we played them to move on to play for first or second in the Challengers, and like I just took that as like we were playing the Russians, and because I think some of those guys play for the Russians now too.
yeah. Tava and what's his face, little Frenchie,
Godin.
Axel. Yeah, they both play with him.
Yeah. So that's I don't know what they're doing over there, but all the European teams now coming over have just well, I know what they're doing. They're playing all the time, and they're together, and they're just grinding it out. And dude, the European teams are just no
Joke anymore.
no joke.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I first went to Europe in 2012 to play the Millennium, and to see what it was then compared to what it is now was even night and day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, when I talk to you guys, my peers that have played long before me, I can't even imagine.
Not that long, dude. Don't make me feel so old. It's not that long. It's a couple of years. We'll take a couple of years. Yeah.
But how fast they progressed is impressive. And honestly, as of late, I think a lot of it may have to do. I don't necessarily like the format, but the M500 format, because of the limited paintballs, they have to work on their gun skills.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have that snapshot on point. They have to hit their shots on the break, because if they're going to shoot that many paintballs, you better not miss.
Yeah,
Only
exactly.
500.
That was gonna be my next question was, you've played M500, so what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's going to integrate into the NXL?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll transition. I think people paintball is successful by accident because people like to shoot guns. That's why paintball exists. I think if you limit that, that's only going to hurt us, at least to that extent. I think if there might be a happy medium, like, I don't know, maybe call it 3, maybe 4 pods in a loader. That could be better. But at the end of the day, people don't play paintball to not shoot their guns. You know what I mean? Right. But that's just my opinion. I like the game the way it is. If you are going to limit it, I think it needs to be like 3 or 4 pods. I think there could be more strategy in that, sure. But 2 pods in a loader, I just don't think it's enough. You see it in the games that are happening in the Millennium now. I don't know how much you've watched, but it's fast and then it stops. Right. Once everybody has that initial first couple exchanges, they get to the bunker, first couple exchanges, and then it's like, whew, shit.
Nobody wants to die.
20 paintballs left. I don't want to do anything here. I can't overfight. I'm going to be out of paintballs. I got to get really close to them. But it slows it down. They're like, oh, it'll provoke more action. But at the pro level, maybe at the divisional level, because people are just like, yeah, fucking run everywhere, you know. But at the pro level, you value your life a lot more than it is just about going down the field. You know what I mean? Like, right. Staying alive for your team and being up bodies is really important at this level. So you don't really see people risking it as much as they talked about it going into it as to that being the reason why they wanted to bring it to M500. Like, yeah, it's more financially, readily available for everybody if they limit it like that. But the main reason is like, oh, it'll provoke more action. It'll get people to make these big dynamic moves. But really, it's kind of done the opposite. Right. So I foresee it going away over there for next year. Maybe not completely, but at least made an adjustment to it.
Yeah, I don't really agree. I like the limited paint, but I don't agree with the M500. I was thinking like M750 or something like that, to where it's like 3 or 4 pods is perfectly fine. But when guys are taking out 14 pods and you have these tournaments where it's just boxed in, crossed up, it's really the first front guy who can snap shoot the back guy who's just been railing his gun the entire time and can move down the field, wins the game. I would like to see, like, I'd say 3 or 4 pods. I think that'll be best, because I think it's going to really bring out, and you've obviously seen it, it's going to bring out the true talent in the player as far as being able to move, being able to shoot, being accurate. Fuck, I've been playing, I feel, M500 ever since I started playing, because I don't shoot very much paint, so it's like I've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I think 4 pods is a good number, because then you can go to your support player and say, hey, I have my 4, but I'm gonna give you 2. So as a front player, you'd be fairly comfortable with 2 pods in a loader, and now he has 6, so he can comfortably do his job as support role, and you're not going out there with only a loader then.
Yeah. See, if I was in charge, you wouldn't even be able to move him around. Everybody gets set. No moving around. Everybody gets a set. Walking on the field, everybody's the same. And
could you drop once it starts?
Do what?
Could you drop them once it starts?
I would. You mean just leave them behind and have somebody be able to pick it up and use that? Yeah. Yeah, but it's not like, I don't know. I mean, do you consciously think about that? Like, would you play the back center for a second just so you can drop a couple pods and then move?
On certain plays, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that?
Because you could just take a guy, and he doesn't necessarily need to be the 1. You could risk your 2 out to the corner, run him out to the corner. Your 1 stays and shoots, drops 2 pods, and then fills underneath. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess even if it was, I mean, how would you even regulate that? I mean, it's you can be like, because
the only way to do it is you can only go out there with your 4. The point has to start with everybody with 4 pods. After that, if you can swap pods, good on you.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't think it's really going to be. You can't really regulate that. I mean, because a pod is, what would you call a pod? A pod is like something that is not a part of your equipment, right? So isn't there like a name for that? It's like
extension of your body or something like that.
Just something to where it's not like, if you leave it, it's not. You don't have to be that 10-foot rule. Like, you don't have to.
Oh yeah. No, no rule like that for sure.
Yeah, so I don't think you'd be able to regulate it. So I think even if there was, you got to start with 4 pods. You would definitely just be able to, drop them
Yeah.
if need be. But that would also be dependent on the field layout too.
Yeah, 100%. It just is all part of the strategy then.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to limit it. I mean, I think it really, but two is way too few.
2 is way too few. I'm okay with limiting it. Just the number needs to be right.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people are saying, well, if you limit it, then the paint price is going to go up. Well, it's not everybody's playing this format, so you can't just say, okay, well now cases are going to be $100 each, but then you have divisional teams that are still playing normal style X ball that can carry however much. And I think you would just do the change at the pro level.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's smart. If you're going to make the change, do it at the pro level, at least for a full season to see what people think of it and how it actually affects the game, because you're not going to really have a true idea until you put true pros out there playing it, because we're the people that are going to blow holes in the plan. We're the guys that are going to exploit it in any way we possibly can to win.
We're going to find the flaws.
Right.
Yeah.
So it needs to be tested. I think that'd be something to explore in the off season. There's plenty of people that have fields that can bring in, like X Factor, for example. It doesn't get too terribly cold there, or we can go somewhere here in Florida where we can, as a league, we should probably fly 2 teams out and be like, hey, let's test this format and really blow holes in it and make sure that this is what's best for the sport going forward.
Yeah.
But I don't like that the league doesn't do stuff like that. They're just like, all right, here's a fucking W. Let's see who loses an I. You know what I mean? Like they don't put it through the ringer before they implement it. So I wish that would happen.
Yeah, I've always wanted or always thought, and I think it'd be a good idea to have some kind of like team union kind of a thing, to where you have a representative from each team or some kind of team council or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
The thing is, we have that now, but people are too scared to voice their opinions, I think, is what happens.
Put me on that bitch. I'm ready.
I think they call it the coaches board or whatever now. Like they have a coaches call, to my knowledge, where there's one representative from each team. But the problem is that there's vested interest in some of them. You know what I mean? Like because of the guys that have shares in the league are also team owners. Then they're on that call, whether they talk or not. They're influencing everybody else in the call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people are scared to voice their true opinion. So I don't necessarily know what the answer is. Maybe it's tough to say, hey, have a board without those guys on it, but you can't really do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a shitty situation because everything that we're doing is within our own industry. It's not like outside ownership that owns the league. It's owned by players, essentially.
Yeah, but all the players are not under any kind of like contractual agreement. Well, I want to say 90%, maybe even higher than that, are not under any kind of. At least for me, I think I've signed one contract in my entire career, and that was when I played for Avalanche, and that was it. And that was just to say, hey, we need you to play this many tournaments. You're going to get this much. You're going to do this, blah blah blah, whatever. But everything else was everything else has been verbal.
That's how it was for me up until this year. This year is the first time I had a written contract.
Yeah. So it's like, when do we not have, like, we say that the players kind of have some kind of control over the league, but it's like we don't have a say because, we don't have a say on anything because we are just the players and we need to just play and that's it. We don't have an opinion on anything, but we're the ones that are testing out your philosophies and your ideas on the field, and if it doesn't work, exactly, and if it doesn't work, then we're the ones that now have to adjust to the new idea that you have, or whatever it is. And I'm not hating on it. That's what paintball is, right? You try
but
things,
that's
and it.
Back to what I was saying is it needs just to be tested. If we just take time to just test it out ahead of time, then we as players don't have to get frustrated because we've spent the time to blow holes in it and make the adjustments that we need to make going into the season. It's a professional league. If we're going to be the so-called professional league, let's be professional about it and not have to make rule adjustments halfway through the season.
Right. Yeah, and that I think if we were to do some kind of limited paint, I think it should be next year, and I think it should at least be for a year because Millennium has tried it. I mean, how many other things have we tried for a year or even half a year? And
So they're trying it, but it's failing. They're losing teams like crazy over there. I don't know if you're aware, but the team count in general is down drastically year over year for them. So I don't know if it's directly correlated to the new format or what, but if you look at their participation year over year, they're down big time.
Really?
Yeah. So again, it goes back to saying I don't know if we should just go ahead and do it. We need to try it first.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think paintball's paintball, man. You know? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like any of the divisional teams would be trying anything new. We could keep that format the same. If anything, it's
if
growing.
we did that, that would be different. But they implemented it across the board, right?
Oh, okay.
So everybody over there is playing that, and I think that's probably why.
That might be the issue.
I mean, lower divisional guys, they don't have the best shot. That's why they're a lower divisional guy. You limit them to 250 paintballs, that stops becoming fun for somebody that's not a very good shot.
And that's when you sack up and you learn how to shoot a target.
Or run.
Or run really far. You either need to learn how to run fast or shoot really accurate. But I think that, like, thinking about it, and I don't know how you came up, but you know, there's two different things. I think there's two different players, right? You have a player that has accuracy by volume, and then you have the player that's just plain out accurate.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I see the two kinds all the time, but I feel like ever since the ramping has come into play, I think the accuracy by volume in the lower divisions has kind of taken over. Do you think that has affected the way the players are coming up now and how their skills are growing?
I mean, I think it'll start to trend back in the right direction now that we've gone away from coaching, but you're going to have that bubble in the time period that there was the coaching, and that's when I came up. But luckily I came up playing 7-man, so I had to think for myself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But there's so many young players that are in my same generation that didn't play 7-man or didn't have the opportunity to play 7-man, and they only had dealt with being joystick down the field by a sideline coach. They never had to think for themselves. A lot of them got high into the ranks. Shit, there were some pros that you saw have an immediate negative effect once the coaching went away because they're just joysticks. You could be a good athlete and make it in the pro division back when there was coaching.
Yeah, and it's not their fault. I mean, it's how they grew up.
No. They're just playing the game that they know how to play. Yeah. That's how they came up. But that hurt the talent level. So now that's exactly what you're seeing at the divisional level now, more accuracy by volume. Guys are just less skillful in general. And you see it in the Division II that I played back in 2007, or I'm sorry, the beginning of 2008, was hard as fuck. Like, that division was tough.
Yeah.
The teams that were at the top of that division then, like, I only podium. It wasn't like I was playing D2 and just, I mean, I was smoking fools down, but we weren't winning every tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was way harder back then. I think the top teams from D2 then would be playing semi-pro now, for sure. And just in the way the skill level is in the divisions, it's totally different how it's tiered nowadays. And I think it's all because of that, the coaching. That just it didn't allow players to be creative for themselves and think for themselves in the field.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, I absolutely think that coaching is one of the, I wouldn't say a downfall to the sport, but just a kind of something I don't like talking about, because I feel like that was the whole thing of when paintball started and everything. You communicated with each other on the field. There was no outside influence at all. Right. And as soon as that coaching came around, it just I hated it. Like, even at practices, I tried as much as I could to tell, like, dude, I was like, let's play without coaching. Let's play without coaching, man. Let it be an advantage when it does come around. Because all I used it as was, okay, well, I hear the spots and I hear the G count, whatever, so that's good. But don't tell me when to go. Like,
don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me when to go. I know when to go. That's and kids growing up in that era, that's like, they never got that gut feeling of when to go or controlling and then moving. They're always waiting.
That's everything now.
Everything.
Your instincts.
Yeah. That your instincts and your ability to control the situation and just move on a whim whenever you need to, when you know you need to.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I get talking about when I'm coaching kids now, and how happy I get when people are making mistakes going forward, because you can't teach that, right? The instinct to go forward, put a guy in and go, put a guy in and go, put a guy in and go. That's rare nowadays, which that's how you played paintball when I was growing up. You know what I mean? That is how it was. You put your dude in, you fucking go. You put your dude in, go to the next spot, shoot across the field, get a free kill. And that just seems to have kind of dissipated. And it's frustrating, but it is refreshing when you get to see those players nowadays. And I tell that to my wife all the time because she's always going forward. And like, yes, like you can't teach that. So it makes me happy, but you don't see that.
Shout out to all the female paintball players out there. By the way.
Shout out. She's over here. She's playing with Destiny in Chicago.
Nice.
She'll be out there representing.
Kill it.
Yeah. Get to shoot up all the guys. That's one of the most fun things I get to enjoy now in paintball is watching my wife shoot dudes and watch them get so frustrated.
It's great. It's great.
I'm just smiling ear to ear in my goggles.
Well, it's cool too because you guys have something that is very, I don't know how deep in it that she is, but I know I see her taking pictures every once in a while, but and I see her playing, but I know it's something you are very passionate about, and to be able to have that significant other, feel that same way or be able to discuss things and have it be kind of a level playing field, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely special and something that you don't really see many couples get to do that in life, let alone paintball. You know what I mean? So we're blessed to be able to do that. And I actually met her through paintball, so she was passionate about it. And I was passionate about it separately, and then we came together, and it's
now you're so passionate about it.
Super passionate. But no, now she works at GI as well, so that's why you see her out there doing photos. So she does all her social media, photo, video, all the posts and everything. She handles all that, so it's cool. We get to go into the office together in the morning. Makes things easy for us.
Yeah, definitely tell her to look for number 19 on Aftershock if they need any pictures or anything like that. Like I heard that guy's
pretty good.
But kind of what we were talking about a little bit before of moving down the field, and what I tell kids now too is like you don't have to shoot everybody. You don't have to be the superstar. You can shoot one guy or whatever, but even if you just make a 50 and turn those guns, you're doing your job. You're hands down doing your job. And if you can, have an assist on that where you can be in a spot and that back guy or that guy turns his gun and then your back guy shoots that guy's loader, that should be considered an assist on the stats. Just saying,
Agreed.
Front guys doing their job even if they're just staying alive. But
Agreed.
But that's another one of those. Yeah. That's another one of those many small variables but big impacts on the game.
Huge,
That not a lot of people talk about, but
and same for the back guys to put themselves in the position to get those assisted kills.
Exactly.
You see so many times that the front guy is just off on an island by himself, and if the back guy just gets himself involved in the game for 3 seconds, he can shoot the front of that guy's goggles or the front of that guy's loader. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So one word we use a lot on our team is being proactive, and no matter what you're doing, even for the wall guys, like we feel if our wall guy is more proactive, we're going to win the battle up there more times than not versus being stagnant and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Be proactive, and no matter what you're doing, even as a back player, how can you be helping your guy at all times? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not only there to keep them out of the snake or out of the Dorito or out of the center, whatever your position may be, but you're to help the dude in front of you. So how can you be proactive and do that? And you don't see that a lot at the lower divisional level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm normally the furthest guy down the field on our team. But whenever I look over and I see a guy in, like if I see LJ in the Dorito 50 or I see Dart in the center kind of going to work, that kind of gets my blood going. I'm like, let's get out there. Let's go after this. Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, I think we were on your transition like a while back,
Yeah.
I wanted to get to it, but I think we were on your transition from Chicago Aftershock to Infamous. Um,
So it all happened right after we won with Chicago Legend in seven man.
mhm.
So that was that same 2011 year when I said it all kind of started getting put together on the Aftershock, and at the end of 2010. Then we go into 2011. We had that 3-1 event and didn't make it in the NEO.
That's
Uh,
frustrating. Yeah.
yeah, so we're feeling good. We're like, all right, we're right there, right? Um, so we kind of Damien and I took that into the seven man in DC, and we won that event as Chicago Legend, and everybody was just like, Chicago who?
Yeah.
Like nobody's like, who the fuck is Chicago Legend? Just won a pro tournament, and that was actually my first pro win ever.
Yeah.
So we were obviously fucking stoked.
Yeah.
But it was a huge shocker to, I think, at least the whole pro paintball circuit.
Mhm.
For all of the guys that, like you said, we're all friends now. We all play each other on a day in, week out basis. And to see Chicago Legend when people were like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a big wake up call. And Todd was actually commentating in the webcast or whatever the whole event, so he got to watch the entire thing and saw just the work that Damien and I were putting in.
Yeah.
Shooting. I mean, I was probably shooting 3 or 4 people a game that tournament. It was insane. It was one of those fields. It was one of the ones with 2 snakes,
Mhm.
so I could play either side, and it was just feasting. It was so much fun.
Nice.
It was one of those events that everything is just clicking. You know what I mean? Your
Mhm.
shots on. You're hitting people on the break. You're snapping people out. You're making your spots. You're getting bounces. Everything is just kind of going your way. You know what I mean?
Fluid.
Yeah. So it all came together. We ended up winning. It actually came down to a one-on-one with Damien and J-Rab, and Damien beat him in the one-on-one to win the tournament for us.
Nice. Jeez.
So we won that, and almost immediately, like I don't even think we had gotten home yet from that event. And we got the call from Todd, and he asked us to make the jump from Aftershock to Infamous. So that, I mean, for us, Aftershock was like always the team we looked up to and everything, but we didn't really see it as like the easiest team for us to accomplish the goals that we wanted to achieve. We hadn't won at that level. He'd won in the semi-pro level with R&T and everything, but hadn't really done it at the top level. So
Yeah.
Infamous was at the time, a top tier team in the league. We were able to jump on and play with legends. Like we went and played World Cup, so that was the last event of the year, and it ended up being the last event that John Richardson and Rusty Glaze ever played. So we got to play, and I know you got to play with those guys as well.
Yeah.
Dudes. But that was really cool to be able to say I got to play their last tournament ever. I was actually just up in Canada at the OPL a few weeks back, hanging out with Rusty, and we were reminiscing about that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was the big jump. And the Shock dudes were definitely, not happy with it because we had put together that really good event in the East Open. Felt we had something going there, and then we left, and Damien and I were part of that core of the team that did so well in the Northeast Open for Shock. So
were you pretty much set? Like, was your decision made, or did Damien kind of sway you a little bit, or?
No, I was pretty set in my decision. It was an opportunity that I hadn't been presented with before. I'd been on Aftershock now for 3 years, and I was ready to make that next jump. You know what I mean?
Find that progress.
Yeah. Something new, right? And I think the biggest thing for me was Todd and being able to be coached by Todd, because that was, we always had Psalm and we had Bruno, but Todd is, at least in my mind, just on another level to the majority of all these other coaches in the pro division. That in itself, I'll never forget that experience being coached by Todd for sure.
Yeah.
That got us my first pro X-Ball win.
Yeah, he definitely has a unique look at the game. He was a great player and has been involved in the sport for so long. And now him coaching Ironmen and also commentating and watching, he's just seeing so much paintball that.
Right.
Yeah, it's insane. So how long were you on Infamous for?
what was it, like 5 years? It's crazy how fast that time flew. From the end of 2011 until the end of 2016. Yeah,
Now,
5 years.
what was this transition like over to AC, or how did that come about?
So, I mean, it was rough. That was definitely the hardest transition I've made. Um, like, yeah, I was super close with the Aftershock guys when I left, but I grew closer to the Infamous guys than I have with any other team that I've been on. Like,
Hmm.
they're in our wedding. Um, they're our family pretty much. So that was definitely a really hard transition, especially the way it went down with the whole sponsor thing. It was right in the middle of the GI and acquiring Key,
Hmm.
um, and obviously that affected us greatly because a lot of us worked for Key. Um, Myself, Damian, Callie, and Travis at the time were all working for Key when that was going down, um, and it just so happened that they wanted me to move down to Florida and further progress my job. And those three chose to go elsewhere. I don't really feel comfortable touching on their decisions, but
Yeah.
um, they went their direction and I went mine to further progress my career in paintball. You know what I mean? Because it's a future. And it was a really good opportunity that I couldn't really pass up. Um, so Travis then went and got a job at Valken, and Travis owns Infamous, so he needed to do what he needed to do to make sure that the team would continue on, because
Right.
that's obviously the last thing he would want is for the team to go under. So he did what he had to do to secure a job for his family, to provide for his family, as well as a home for the team. So going into World Cup of last year, we knew the situation going in. So that's part of what made it so hard. Like everybody knew that that was my last tournament with the team, like before the tournament even started.
Really.
So that itself made it super emotional as it was. Um, and then with all the work drama and everything as well, it was just a lot going on in that time period. Not to mention we got married in November too. So it was everything happening at once.
Yeah.
But basically Travis took the team that direction, and I then had to be on a GI team, Empire GI team, um, and I chose to go with the AC Dallas guys because I feel, had the most upside. Like I could have gone to a couple different teams that I don't really need to get into, but I chose the AC guys because of A, the coach, and B, the guys themselves, and the opportunity that I think that they have to go out and be a really successful team, and that they came from the ground up. You know what I mean? Like they were VCK and they played through the divisional ranks and earned their pro spots the
Yeah.
hard way.
Did you
And
contact them?
I'm sorry?
Did you contact them?
No, no, no. They actually reached out to me. So, well, I guess it was almost a mutual thing because work wanted me there as well. So it made sense because with Infamous leaving, they wanted to slot somebody else in as the Empire Factory team, and it made sense for those guys to do it out of the Texas market and try to push the Empire brand down in the Texas market. So the company kind of helped connect the dots,
Nice.
and it worked out that Greg and I are now sales partners. So him and I are able to work together and then work together on the field as well. Um, he brought me in and really has a ton of respect for what I've done as a player and where I'm at as a player mentally, um, and really brings me into a lot of the coaching decisions and stuff, which I really like. And him and I just gel really well together. So that works. And the fact that none of the guys on the team have any egos or anything like that, like they all just want to win. Like they want to win more than I've ever been around. Those guys play so much paintball, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
Way
it
more.
shows, man. It shows. Those guys, every tournament that I can remember them being in, they're just always on point, and just always competing at every single event. And whenever I play them, it's we either lose to them or we win, but it's only by a couple points. So
It's a really good atmosphere to come into. It makes it really easy to transition into that team with the system that Greg has and the way that the team trusts in the system. There's very little to no drama at all, which is night and day for me, coming from Infamous and Aftershock to one of the most emotionally volatile teams in the history of the sport. In terms of, riding the highs and riding the lows in the worst and best ways, respectfully. But
yeah,
it's a much more level-headed team. It's a much more calculated team, as far as the way that Greg's system works. But it's really cool to be a part of, and I enjoy that I get to go in and just be the one and just be a Scud missile and go and just do damage, because it's been a while since I got to do that. But I did that on last year with Infamous, but that was kind of the first time since Mouse left, because when Mouse was on the team, I transitioned back to play the 2, so we'd kind of have that 1-2 punch together, which worked out really well. And I feel that year made me a much, much better paintball player, because I saw the game from a whole different perspective, and it slowed down for me. You know what I mean? Similar to, like, we talked about how the 2s need to be proactive, and now that I've played an entire season and then some as the 2 behind one of the best ones that there is in the game.
Yeah.
Game really slowed down for me now, transitioning back into a 1. It makes things a lot easier. So I feel I had a really good year last year with Infamous, and obviously the guys over at AC thought so as well, and as that's what they wanted me to do for them, is go attack that Dorito side, which I feel I did pretty well in Vegas when we got third, and then the whole injury thing. But
yeah, man, dude, you're one of those players that I think that teams and players on the field tend to sleep on. I think you're one of the most underrated players. Not to blow up your head or anything like that, but coming from just myself, dude, I think you're one of the most underrated players. I remember playing against you. I forget what tournament it was, but you were just fucking shooting the shit out of me, and I could not figure out what the hell to do to get over to you. But I think your style of play and your intelligence on the field is very underrated, and I tip my hat, sir.
Thank you.
I enjoy playing against you. That's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I myself have felt underrated, because obviously we all think that we're awesome out there, but I think that's part of it, right? You have to have some level of confidence to play at the top level, because if you don't, the guys that do are just going to walk all over you out there. So yeah. I think that definitely is something to know as a young player coming up. Like, you can't go out there timid, you know what I mean? You got to go out there and take it from guys. They're not going to give it to you. So
yeah, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But everybody rides that line, but you have to. If you don't, you're always going to be questioning yourself. You're always going to be hesitating to do that move. You're always going to kick yourself if you don't make that shot. But everybody's going to make mistakes. But if you don't believe in yourself enough that you know that you're not going to make those mistakes all the time, then you're never going to make it.
Learn.
Yeah. So how is your knee doing?
It's good. It's really good. I've been off the crutches now for a little over 3 weeks. We got bikes, so I've been biking almost every day. Feels really good. No swelling, no soreness. Got out there for the first time this past weekend with a gun in my hands. Got to do some gunfighting, some running and gunning. Did pretty much full speed lateral movement back and forth, transitioning weight, with no issues at all. I was pretty skeptical just because it's the first time I'd really been back out there at all.
Yeah.
So wanting to take it slow, especially with having previous knee injuries in the same knee. So I definitely didn't want to rush anything. Especially down here in Florida, you know how the fields are down here. It's all just sand, and it's just not pretty. So not, filling out somewhere crazy, because you know how it is. It's so hard to go out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play the back center. I'm just gonna hang out.
That doesn't happen.
You guys, all right, I'm filling out.
yeah, exactly. No, that doesn't happen, because it's your instincts start kicking in, and your 20-year-old self starts kicking in, and you're like, I'm not fucking doing this. I'm going to a corner. I'm going to the snake, something like that.
Exactly.
Man, well, I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad your knee's healing up. I cannot wait to see you back there on the field so we can battle it out again. And I really appreciate you sitting down and talking to me, man.
Absolutely, man. Always take the time for you.
Sweet. I appreciate it. And, dude, good luck in all your travels, and we will see you soon.
Yes, sir. See you in a few weeks.
For sure, bud. Take care.
You too. Stay there.
See ya.
Later.
Thank you so much, Brad, for sitting down and chatting. It was really great talking to you. I didn't really know too much about Brad. I've played against him for years, and he's another one of those guys that just didn't. That is, hey, how you doing? I can shoot the shit with for a few minutes before we go play, and then right back to not seeing him again until Saturday or Sunday, and then 4 or 5 months after that until the next event or whatever. So, but it was cool. I mean, I've always respected him a ton, and I mean, it would be great to see him back in an Aftershock jersey, but it is what it is, man. Life takes you in all kinds of different directions, and he seems to be on the right one, that's for sure. Really representing GI and really all the companies that he's ever worked for. He's really been a really stand-up guy and somebody that all the kids should look up to, for sure. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, a big thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paintball. You can find them at drpaintball.com. And like I said, they're doing an M2 giveaway. There might be some other goodies in there, I'm not sure, but I know they are giving away an M2, and if you head over to their website, drpaintball.com, they will have direction on where to go to sign up for that giveaway. So thank you, Dr. Paintball. Also, thank you to Charm City Paintball, where he has headbands out the bunghole. You can find him at Charm City Paintball on Facebook. So check him out. Thank you to Charm City. Also to Carbon Paintball. Look for the CC line coming out. It will be out very, very, very soon. I think we might have a few things in Chicago, but I'm not 100%. But I know that we'll have our SC line there, and we'll have all kinds of goodies at the Carbon booth. So thank you to Carbon. And lastly, thank you to Planet Eclipse for supplying myself with the best markers on the planet, pun intended. Year after year, it's the best markers, man. I can't say it enough. Thank you to Planet Eclipse. And again, thank you to all of you guys out there, all the listeners. I really, really do appreciate it. Week in and week out, you guys come through on with the constant feedback on, hey man, you're doing a great job. I love this. You should interview this guy, interview that guy. I love it. I love all of the communication going on. So thank you guys so much. And if you are looking for me on social media, I'm on Facebook on Microwave Markowski or the Playing On Podcast, and the same thing on Instagram. It is the Playing On Podcast or myself, C. Markizzle. Find me over there. Shoot me a message. Shoot me a DM, and we can chit chat. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next time here on the Playing On Podcast. Peace.